Okay, everybody, welcome to Somerford Associates podcast on Splunk Augmented Reality. And we've got this podcast series because we're here to help and we're trying to explore new tech that's going to help you deliver and get the most of value from your solutions. So my name's Anne. I'm the Implementation Director for Somerford Associates, which means I'm half techie, half manager. And I have in the studio with me today, Mark Atkinson.
Hi, Anne. Well, thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. And can you tell me about your role, a bit about you?
Yeah, sure. Bit about me first, maybe. So I've 30 plus years in the technology sector now. So I'm one of the oldies, really. Had a really ball over many, many years doing many interesting things. Design engineering management, applications management, technical marketing, and a whole bunch of things. Been with various different companies, including people at Toshiba, Sony MI, going back to Marconi days. More recently, 20 years with Intel, and doing quite a lot of interesting things at Intel there. So, in terms of, I joined Somerford in November last year, and I've been really involved in a whole bunch of interesting things within the technical marketing area. So I've joined as technical marketing director and come on board to really kind of meld this technology side of Somerford, which is extremely powerful, with the sales side, which is extremely powerful, and the marketing. We just put it all together, and hopefully we'll get some really good, interesting stuff out for customers that will really help them understand the advantage. How to get the advantage out of new products, things like that. Sure.
And that's why we're talking to you about Splunk Augmented Reality, or AR as it's known. And we'll say AR for the rest of the podcast.
Sure.
Otherwise, we'll be tripping up over our tongue. So for a while now, you've been talking to some of Somerford's partners and clients about AR. What exactly is AR? Splunk AR.
Well, I mean, essentially what Splunk AR is really, it's a mobile application, and quite simply just download it off the Apple App Store. And the whole idea is to help you get better access to your Splunk data.
Okay, so some people who'd be listening to this, what would that mean for them? They're a Splunk user. What do you mean by better access?
Yeah, that's a fair question, really. I guess what I'm saying is that kind of how I've coined it is, right, with Splunk AI, you're really going to get access to your data in what I would say is in the right way, at the right time, in the format you need it. And the real critical thing here, I think, is it's done automatically.
Okay, so I need an example. I'm sorry, Mark. Tell me, can you give me an
Okay.
example of who might use it?
One I've used actually is basically if you're a regional manager of, say, a fast food chain, and you've got to go around all your fast food chains to understand what's going on and do all the figures and all that. So you arrive at your local fast food chain, and before you've even got out the car, if you've got your phone and your AR app open, you're automatically fed dashboards for the sales figures for that specific food chain. So you've got all the information about that food chain, your phone, and all you've done is open the app up, really. That's all you need to do. So you don't have to look for it, it's immediately there. So as you get out the car, then you're walking towards the fast food chain. As you enter it, then you're starting to get different sets of data about the different areas. So, for example, you could be getting a cleanliness ratings on one area. You could be getting sales figures for particular machines, or you could be getting the dwell time for customers. You could actually go up to one of those machines where customers are ordering it, hold up your camera to it, and then you can pull down all the data of that machine to say how it's been performing, what customers have been ordering, how long they've had to wait, and those kind of things. So all of that is eminently possible using Splunk AR.
Wow. So just from that one app?
Well, yes, with Splunk associated with it, of course.
Yes, behind it.
Yes.
So how does the app work then? How does the AR know where you are?
Okay, well, it kind of works in three different ways. You get access to your data, firstly, using geofencing. So that's what we call the outer layer. And this really gives you access to your dashboards because of your location. So, for example, it could be a factory site or retail outlet, as I mentioned, an office block. And you're getting this live feed of data because of exactly where you are. Effectively, you're in the geofenced area. So that's the first one. And the second way is really using what we call beacons, are likened to walking towards the store or getting into the retail store. So this is what we call the middle layer. And this gives you access to specific dashboards now because you're within range of that beacon. So it's really giving you a different level of granularity to your information and data now. And really effectively, if you're in a large office, it could be like information for a specific department, or it could be on a different floor in the office, a specific room, or a specific part of the factory. And then the third way is really what we define as the augmented reality workspace. And this is what we call the inner layer. And this allows you to see your data really as a series of augmented reality dashboards. So these dashboards can be specific to a piece of equipment and are typically invoked through the Splunk AR application by scanning a QR code.
So I'm my brain is spinning now with all of the different clients that I work with in delivery, and thinking of many ways that we could kind of use this in different applications. But especially that AR workspaces, like what can customers do with that? Those QR codes and
Well, the AR workspace is it's what I define as a very, very flexible solution.
uh-huh.
And you can see basically Splunk dashboards as an AR overlay, for example.
What? So you put up your phone, you scan in a code, and then you see the relevant dashboard overlaid in augmented reality in front of you, like
Yeah,
on that
that's
machine.
exactly right. Yes, so it means that
Wow.
you've got an application. This application allows you to show your dashboards, and they are spatially aware, which I think is very, very important as well. So, for example, if you've got anywhere in that 360 environment, you've got meters, you've got pieces of equipment, and you want to basically associate that piece of equipment with a specific dashboard, you can have that dashboard moved over to that piece of equipment, that meter, whatever it is, anywhere in that 360 space. But also you can move the whole dashboard, so you can reposition the whole dashboard. So for example, if you're using an existing asset tag as part of a piece of machinery and it's happened to be on the floor, instead of having to kneel down and work off the floor, when you scan it, if you stand up, the actual dashboard is at standing level exactly where you need it. So that again is quite a powerful thing.
Oh, that's so cool. So if a customer wants to like overlay, I don't know, a machine or like the computers in the office, they're assets, aren't they? Or a
Yeah.
pipe or a meter with a dashboard, that can be placed over it.
Well, precisely, yeah. So you can just basically overlay any information that's coming out of Splunk on top of whatever you're looking at and associate it with that particular piece of equipment.
Yeah, the relevant bit of equipment for the dashboard. Wow. So that's pretty cool. The engineer in me is going to go like, "Ooh, wow!" Can you do
Imagine how
anything
much
else?
fun I'm having at the moment with
Yeah.
this stuff.
So can you do anything else with it?
Yeah, well, that's the exciting thing, really, because you can add things like video,
Hmm.
audio, PDF documents, notes to the workspace as well. So, these could be things like maintenance manuals or how-to guides, training videos, or any other media, really, for a given situation. There's also a new feature that we've called AR workflow automation as well.
And they also can be placed anywhere in the AR environment too.
Yeah, exactly. So again, within that 360 space, you can place those where it's relevant to the user.
Cool. So could you just, I'm such a practical person, give me like a usage scenario for our listeners, like
Yeah,
an example of a customer that you can envisage doing this?
well, I think one of the areas that could be quite useful is like predictive maintenance or maintenance in general for businesses. So, for example, a maintenance contractor might go to various different factory sites, so they may not know those particular sites that well. So, when they arrive at this site, can you imagine they come into the car park and they open up their device? They've got access to this level of information. So, immediately they've got all the factory information for all the machines in that factory up to the minute. So if they know there's any machines that have got a problem, they would identify those straight away. So they know when any alerts and things like that. So they got out their vehicle, they already have a good appreciation of what's going on within the factory. Again, completely automatically. So when they enter the building, they may be hitting beacons now within the factory. So they've hit a specific beacon that will tell them, right, within this area, there are these 3 or 4 machines. Actually, one of them is critical and you need to sort of look at that one first. So essentially that will guide them then to go into that particular part of the factory. They'll know exactly from the information they see where that machine is. They can provide that information as part of it. And then he knows exactly, or she knows exactly which machine to look at, and then you can scan that specific machine with a QR or an asset tag or whatever, or NFC tag even, and you'll pull up the dashboards for that particular machine, so you know exactly what's happened to it when it failed, for example, and if there needs to be a repair or replacement or anything like that. And to add to that, if there's things like a maintenance manual for that particular thing, or a video how-to guide on how to replace or repair that device, that can automatically appear as well. So
Mm.
effectively, this is really aiding somebody by providing all the tools they need electronically and immediately and fully automatically.
Yeah. So I can see anyone really in the company could use that sort of functionality. It's not just say IT or
Well, that's an
maintenance.
interesting, really question, because I think there's a little bit of an opportunity here for businesses, because what I see it being really, really powerful is in the business operations side
Mm,
rather than in IT. I mean, it's useful in IT, don't get me wrong, but I think the value will be really multiplied up in the business operations side.
yeah.
The
Like,
issue might be that the part of the company that would need to do the technology assessment would be the IT department, for
yeah.
example. So here's an opportunity, if you like, for the IT and the business groups to work collaboratively, and really to assess where the biggest and the most overall benefits to any given business could be for adopting Splunk AR.
Sure. Now, I've written down, you've mentioned the term AR workflow automation, and I don't know what that is. Can you explain what that is?
Oh, I was hoping you weren't going to bring that one up. No, good stuff. Yeah, I thought I got away with it. Okay, so AR workflow automation. Well, that's quite a new feature actually. So it's brand new. So I've been playing with it relatively recently.
Hmm.
In its beta form at the moment, and Somerford are a beta customer for this. But if you, as a customer, want to have access to this, you can download the latest AR release on App Store 2.1.0, and that includes the workflow automation. So the whole idea of this is it allows you to interact with other applications through an API. Now, for instance, I've been playing with it really, or making very serious technology assessments, I should say, um, through
It's just
creating,
games for you.
oh, creating playbooks in Splunk Phantom, for
Okay.
example. So I can execute these playbooks via the AR workflow automation, which is a really, really powerful capability.
So how could workflow automation be used? What for?
Well, thinking about that, you could imagine going back to our previous example of a technician in a factory. So part of their environment could be a workflow automation tab. And take for example, there's a problem with a quite a complex piece of machinery,
Mm.
and instead of having to phone somebody to say, "Look, I don't really know what to do here. How can I help?" You could actually hit a workflow automation. It will take you through step by step what to do to replace this part. Open cover A, remove this part, do this, close this valve, do this. And that
Mm.
is what a playbook will actually help you do. So do all that, and then you can, as part of the playbook, you can press OK or next or whatever to
Yeah.
get you through it step by step. So it's like having somebody, sitting next to you, guiding you through it, but it
Yeah.
automatically again.
And what do customers need to get that automatically happening?
Well, one of the nice things, it's relatively straightforward to do. So you can start looking at AR workflow with Splunk Phantom. So what you really need is to get Splunk Phantom. Now, one of the nice things and the kind things about Splunk is that they
Mm.
do offer free versions of this. And in fact, there is a free version of Splunk Phantom, which is the community version, which you can get off the free Splunk apps on splunk.com. And frankly, that is the one I'm using. And
Mm.
although it's not a requirement, you don't have to use Phantom, but it's an easy way to test and demonstrate this capability and to see how functional and useful it could be with any given business. I mean, there are other ways of doing it through an API. So, for example, ServiceNow ticketing is another example that you could use it for.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I mean, it's different from just the AR stuff, but it's just yet another extra thing that you could add to your Splunk AR app, which,
Yeah, yeah, it's not essential, but I think it's a good feature actually. It's
yeah, I'd
powerful.
like it for my flat pack furniture. And,
Oh my
you know,
God. That is a really great idea. I don't know, practical to implement it, but I think a lot of people would like that, to be
no,
honest.
I know. Well, everyone would need Splunk, but so that wouldn't work. But I don't know, maintenance engineers or a manager could trigger a service on a
Yeah,
ServiceNow
oh,
ticket
totally.
on
Anything
their
like that.
rounds. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything else you think could be useful?
Well, there's loads of things coming down the pipeline. I would say that in terms of one thing that captured my imagination, And it's something that I just wanted to sort of mention because it's something that people could easily miss, I think, when they're doing the evaluation. But it's one to think about. And there's a new AR web editor on
Mm-hmm.
the latest Splunk AR version. When you've got the upgraded version of the Splunk Cloud Gateway, that is another requirement.
Yep.
And that is in version 1.9. So if you use that, it basically allows an administrator to edit any given workspace remotely. And that means that you can remotely edit, set up the layouts, and lock it down so that users can't mess with it if you want to
Mm.
make sure it maintains itself. And this is a really, really powerful way of deploying then, you know, AR workspaces anywhere in a factory site. You can do it remotely.
Yeah.
But talking to customers, I think this could be really, really powerful, is looking at what customers are doing with this kind of thing. And you think about maintenance, it's not just fix and repair. Maintenance engineers are going out all the time to maintain equipment, and they're doing servicing on equipment, especially large complex pieces of equipment, where on a Monday they might be doing some part of the machinery, let us say, and on a Tuesday doing a different part of the machinery, and on a Wednesday a different part. So wouldn't it be powerful as on a Monday, when they scan the equipment, they get all the documentation and user manuals up for the Monday servicing. On Tuesday, they get all
Yeah.
the Tuesday servicing. On Wednesday, they get all the Wednesday servicing, videos, how-to guides, manuals, everything. And it can
Wow.
all be managed through an administrative window. So all of
And
that is
that's the
really
right
powerful.
time bit. Oh man, yeah. So who have you spoken to who's interested in using AR? Who are leading this one?
Oh, wow. Loads of people. Actually, there's so much interest in this. It's really incredible. I can't really talk about specific companies at the moment, apart from one maybe. But things like car manufacturing, in the defense, in the warehousing, retailers, everybody, well, not that I'm going to set myself a target, but basically my hit rate is 100% so far, which is basically every company I've talked to really want to get involved in this. But I'm saying, I have to say that it's still early days, so the
Yeah.
reality might set in yet. But I can talk about one company, quite happy for me to talk about it. It's called TGW Group, and they're in the warehousing sector. So
Uh-huh.
they make equipment for all of these big retailers to do the online shopping thing. They create all the equipment to be able to do and pick and place on all these machines. So they're looking at managing their customer maintenance schedules and doing this predictive maintenance using Splunk AR. And in fact, they provided us with a whole set of data for Splunk Live in March, which went down very well with customers when we demonstrated it to them as well. So they're very, very interested, and they're going to be one of the pioneers, I think, in the UK for this.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're right on the cutting edge of all of this AR stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm having a
Yeah.
great
And so you know all of the new features that are coming up on Splunk AR?
Yes, there's a lot of exciting stuff coming down from Splunk, and they're constantly innovating in the space, to be fair. And there are new features, and there's a whole roadmap coming down.
Cool. And we'll probably be able to talk about that in another podcast, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think probably people have got enough to digest in this one from
Yeah.
what we talked about, really, as a starting point. Wouldn't get two people too excited, would we? Really? And I think there is a lot of exciting stuff, but I think once people have comprehended the capability and what we can deliver, customers, I think themselves will be starting to think, well, what about this? And what about that? And that's exactly what I found with customers. They say, well, can it do this? Can it do that? And I said, I've gone to Splunk, and they've said, yeah, we can do that. And so we're developing their roadmap as we go along. And it's
Yeah.
quite powerful and a very, very interesting time to be doing this, actually.
Yeah, it's amazing. So if we've inspired anyone to like think about Splunk AR in their situations, how could they get started? Where would they go next?
That's a good question. It's really easy actually to get started with Splunk AR. I mean, fundamentally, you need a high-end iPhone or an iPad to begin with.
Hmm.
Then you need to install the Splunk Cloud Gateway, as I mentioned. It will be now 1.9 from Splunk Base, and that'll be onto your either Splunk Enterprise or Cloud instance. You then need to download the Splunk AR app onto your device, your Apple device, from the App Store, and then you need to register the device in the Splunk Cloud Gateway. And if you do not really have, a Splunk license, again, because these very nice people at Splunk, you can get a trial license for free from Splunk.com to get started.
So that's great. It sounds very IT based, and although I'm an engineer, I'm not necessarily IT. Perhaps other people aren't either. So, do you think is there any more help if they want like a little someone to guide them through it? Do you have to be an IT expert or?
Well, no, actually, I mean, I'm not really. My background isn't quite in IT straightforward-ish, although I had to sort of delve into the documentation quite a lot. I mean, there is a lot of documents on docs.splunk.com. And I think really there's a few things to take into consideration. You do need to have a working knowledge of Splunk, for example, to get the best out of this, especially when you do the proof of concept. So I would say that if you were a power user level at Splunk and using SPL, that would be an advantage, not essential, but an advantage for when you actually want to do something meaningful with the proof of concepts. Obviously, Somerford could be here to help you with that anyway. But in my journey on this, what I found is that I found the documentation is IT-like. So you're quite right there. So what I've created is a startup guide for customers, really.
Oh, music to my ears.
You know, for the first time, what do I need to do? How do I need to do it? And I've kind of tried to encapsulate all of that into one document and using pictures, which is always nice because Splunk don't tend to use a lot of pictures. They do some, but not enough. I like pictures. So that, you know, that's available via Somerford Associates, and really just get in touch with us at marketing@somerfordassociates.com if you want to have access to that document.
Great. So having heard the steps, you know, it was Apple this, iOS that. Is this you who's Apple focused or is it Splunk?
Well, not me. And in fact, I'm not really sure it's Splunk either. I think essentially what they've done is they've taken a very well-known defined environment to kick it off. So yes, it is Apple only at the moment. And really, once they've done all the development work on this, it will then, you know, look to be translated into other devices in the future. But for 2020, anybody wanting to evaluate it in 2020 will really need to be looking at using Apple devices.
Yeah, fair enough. So is there any more information available?
Yeah, actually, as I mentioned, there are technical docs on docs.splunk.com on AR. But also, helpfully or not, I'm not sure, but I've done a blog and recorded a webinar, and both of those are available on www.somerfordassociates.com as well. So if you want to sort of get another feel, it will go into Splunk AR in a little bit more depth than we've covered here, for example.
Well, thanks so much, Mark. It all sounds so mind-blowing. So best of luck with all those customer journeys with Splunk AR.
Well, thanks, Anne. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's been absolutely incredible. I've really enjoyed the time that I've had here already at Somerford, and it is very exciting. When you see, there's one particular customer in the car manufacturing industry, the luxury brand, and it was just their face when they got it was a picture, and it was really something that it really sort of galvanizes me to sort of do this, because you understand how this can really help people, and just getting that story across is really important, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like it's just because everyone's going through a digital transformation journey, aren't they? And it just sounds like it's something there to help people get more informed and more efficient and
Well, I think so. I think the key thing about Splunk AR really is the fact that you're given visibility and access to your data in an unprecedented way. I mean, Splunk in itself gives you that visibility of data, and it's one of its strengths, if you like, and it's real time. But to have that real time access to that data anywhere, any place, anytime, in the form you want it automatically, that's really powerful and business transformation, to be honest.
that's brilliant. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mark.
All right.
And so we
It's a
come to
long
the end
day.
of thank you. Yeah, our first podcast. And thanks for listening. Feel free to visit us at somerfordassociates.com. We're here to help. And goodbye for now.